Well, at least it didn't catch her swearing.
Yes, thank
Look,
you.
I have to like
I didn't
make a
realize-
conscious effort not to do that, so
I shall pretend that I am a Monst's fan.
They don't allow swears.
You can't even say Jesus.
All right, we are officially on the screen.
okay, all right. So I'll do my. Did you just? Yeah. Okay. Cool. No one saw it, but they probably heard it.
What happened?
Nothing. Nobody hit any head on anything. Okay, so talking to the camera pretty much just this one time. Hello, this is the live stream for the Litas camp gear. We've already introduced ourselves. Hello. So if you are watching this, I'm not going to be addressing the camera directly. This is super casual. I'm going to try to answer questions in the chat. So if you are in the chat, behind the carpet is not on the camera. This is super casual, so I'm not going to be doing like a presentation at the camera. We're talking. And then there's Charlie here. Okay.
Good girl.
So I'm going to start with questions. Do you have any then?
We should ask her. Yeah, I'm trying to turn camping for drink.
Okay. Who has been moto camping before? Who has been camping before? Okay. Who has never been camping before? Okay. So
She didn't raise her hand at all. She's been moto camping.
okay. So we are all at least having camped, and most of us have moto camped before. Who has gone on a really long trip, like more than a 500-mile distance, one way? Okay. Did you do that camping or just traveling?
Both.
Both. Okay. So, because I feel like that kind of informs what you bring with you and stuff like that. So, So you guys are going to be. I need to address the 2-up situation. Is anybody else a 2-up situation? Okay. You guys have a cruiser. You have a, dirt bike /
It's more of a dirt bike than a dual sport. It's
Um,
a dirt bike.
lots of options.
Would you be
Cruiser,
taking
cafe
your?
cruiser.
Sorry, I was going to ask if she would be taking her dirt bike camping if you didn't decide to go camp. Okay.
So
We're gonna have to get like the soft, like.
So the time that you moto camped with us, you kind of gave your gear to someone,
Right.
and haven't really packed on the bike. Okay,
Right.
So that makes a big difference. And one of the big things that I'll address first is luggage. So if you have a bike that you don't have attachment points, like a dirt bike,
a 2-person tent without your bag, without gear in it. So we have to take, what did we do? We took like a 6-person tent to Pennsylvania.
And if you're dual in the sense of having a couple that camps together on 2 separate bikes, then you can split your stuff. But if you're trying to put
All of it
2 people's worth of stuff on one bike, then it's just different challenges. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I have so many different versions of gear. I have what I would consider a half-person tent, all the way up to a 4-person tent, and everything in between.
2-person tent without your bag, without gear in it. So.
That's a good sound.
I make no technical prowess promises.
There's no explaining it. I was watching it back and the sound just stopped. Look what you did.
Again, why I don't try to get all fancy. For me, like if you have backpacking experience, I think a lot of people assume that you just need light gear. In reality, you don't. You don't need your gear to be light at all. You need compact. So it can be super heavy if it's compact. So for me, the number one thing on a tent is the tent pole length. And then I don't ever store anything almost the way it was sold to me. I break everything up. So like this is my 4-person tent. This is giant. This is if I'm splitting gear with someone, because this is not okay to have on for myself. All the way down to my half-person, 3/4, maybe supposed to be 1 size tent. This is the one I use the most. And I haven't had any problems with the tent itself, but the bag immediately, what?
Also getting the stupid cot into said tent.
Okay, look, okay. So she's talking about my wonderful, definitely recommend cot. So I also don't sleep on the floor. I sleep on a cot. And the cot only fits in if you fight with your friends to get it into the very small hole that is my tent.
You're not assemble it inside the tent?
Listen, it depends on when you're setting your tent up and your state of mind at said place.
That's fair.
Okay. So keep that in mind. That's my first tip. And is set all your stuff when you get there before you participate in the activities offered by the kiddos.
Yes.
Or you'll be cussing out your friend to try to be like, look, if I don't
Be smart about it.
on the floor. So because of that, I also do bring a backup, which is just a blow-up mattress that I also will put on top of the cot as well. Because while I do love camping, and I do it a lot, I'm a little bit bougie. And, if I'm not going to sleep, then I don't ride well. So there's a way to make your sleep system work and figure out how to get it on your right. So I tried for a while. This is how many times that I've gone through equipment. So this is my
Go ahead, I'll let you finish your sentence.
Oh, okay. This is my blow-up mattress that I started with, that I was on the ground by itself. And then I realized that was not going to work. And then I went to this actual single blow-up mattress. Not worth the space, but I let people borrow this if they have a bigger bike than me. Which, since I got the lowrider, doesn't really happen all that much. But if you have a big luggage and not a lot of cooking gear and stuff, what you bring with you really can wax and wane with how much space you have. But I combine a cot with this, and this is my sleep system, these two things, with a sleeping bag, of course. I didn't bring my sleeping bags with me because they just hang in the closet at home, and then all this other stuff is in my garage. So this and whatever seasonally appropriate sleeping bag is what I normally have with me. If I'm going really light and I know the ground is soft, I won't bring my cot, but that's a fight. That's a mental fight with myself. What's your thing?
To see what the cot looks like.
Oh, yeah. Early.
I thought we were friends. You just want to see me.
This was from the wife.
I thought we were friends.
We can do it after.
We can do it after.
So this, if you are patient with it, it really is a cot this is the smallest cot I have found that gets you about this far off the ground and is actually comfortable. They're about $100 normally, and I think they go on sale 2 or 3 times a year for like $70. It's
So
on
they're
sale
currently
right now.
71, 74.
Yeah, so about 2 or 3 times a year, for some reason, they'll just be like, in here, we have a discount. I have no idea. It's from the company. It's not from, I mean, the discount is from the company, not Amazon. So I don't know if they're just trying to get, and you can't really depend on the color being consistent on that sale. So like I wanted black, and they only had the green on sale. Like $30, I don't care what color it is. So if you're looking for that particular cot, right now is a good time because it is about on sale right now. Some people camp with hammocks. I always bring hammock with me. I almost never set it up.
I don't think I've ever said you use a hammock.
It's my
One
backup.
time.
It's my emergency sleep system.
Yeah.
But I have a couple of them.
Why?
Well, because when I go like backpacking, hiking and stuff, I actually do use a hammock because I'm not carrying real stuff with me. But I just got this travel hammock that I'm hoping to actually set up and use this time around. But I like these two. This one is actually a dual person, but it's not warm or anything, so it's not good for sleeping. I know that Beth does a lot of hammock camping, and so you have like an underquilt in place of having a sleeping bag and a net over it. And I know Amanda, who moto camps on a sport bike, uses a smaller sleep system because you save space. So whatever you end up using is mostly just informed by what size luggage you have and what your bike can take. This Brandon took on the Trans-American Trail, and it's a month-long trip, so he camped a lot. So you can fit plenty in that amount of space.
I have another question. What are those tubes for?
These are tool tubes. So like I carry a cloth roll that has all my tools in it.
Okay.
This is similar to that, but since he was going on a month-long continuous trip, he needed like literally an extra chain, filters, things to do more continuous maintenance.
Yeah.
And so he kept that in here.
Okay.
And then the other side has like a square. You can look at it later,
Yeah.
like so that you can
It's
kind of
like
lock
PVC
it.
pipe.
Yeah, it's a PVC pipe that is harder to get into than just like a bag or something. I have no idea if he actually took this stuff off and brought it into the hotel. Because when I travel, the reason I like my saddlebags is I bring all my luggage in when I go to a hotel. But completely unhook everything and carry it in. I don't think he did that with this, but I've come out to my stuff being rifled through at a hotel, so I always take everything off. So I pack in a way that I know how to take my luggage on and off. If you have hard cases, you don't have to do that. Do you guys have hard luggage on your
Yeah.
bag? So if you had a sissy bar bag, then all you have to do is take that off and take that in.
That's what usually we take.
I get a lot of questions about my chair because I have the cheapest chair available. It's one of the first camp purchases I ever made for moto camping, and it's really small. And I think it's still $30 on Amazon, and everyone gets like a $90
REI.
crazy. No, this chair is completely comfortable even. Pack's really small, and it's super cheap. I've had it for 6 years, and it's never broken. I do have a burn hole in it because, sometimes you get too close to fire and you're not aware of how close you're to fire, but So that's my camp chair. There are some that go smaller, like this is not a camp chair, obviously, but this size.
That's funny. I got Jake that for Christmas.
I love this thing. This is one of the things I bring with me. I bring a water bottle, like a Nalgene type water bottle, but this is a water leak-proof container that I got in a camping subscription box I used to get, and I love it.
Japanese.
Designed in California,
Oh, okay. So maybe, okay.
made in China.
Because I got the Japanese one, and it's in a thermos. Is
Yeah.
yours a thermos?
Yes.
And it pops off the top.
Yes. So
part? Okay.
it's a thermos.
Same thing.
I actually don't tend to use it for hot drinks all that much.
That thing keeps it hot for a minimum of 12 hours.
It also keeps things cold for like a couple of hours. It's harder to keep things cold than hot, but I just like this mechanism, is that it insulates it and is spill proof, so I can literally just throw it in my bag. I don't use it while I'm riding so much as when I get to camp, but like once I've emptied these out, I'll get to this part, but once I empty my saddlebags out and my camp stuff is set up, these become a cooler. You go to the grocery store and you pick up your stuff, and I just throw that in there and it's rolling around and it doesn't leak. Also, if the off time that I do have coffee, it like pours it, you pour it into your own mouth, you drink it without spilling all over yourself and burning yourself. See where I'm going. Okay, look.
That's how cups work.
Not for me, they didn't.
Same. Lately, I feel like I've been getting worse and worse about it.
Yes, I will end up wearing it if there's not some sort of like delivery system that works for idiots. Okay,
I feel like it's
if you're a normal human something and not get all over yourself, by all means ignore the cup. But this is one of my favorite cups.
Should I make it bigger?
I'm not sure.
I haven't found one that big.
Alright.
What I actually also really like to put in it because it's leak proof is my energy powder and water to shake it up.
And whiskey.
Whatever you're drinking can be drank from this container. If you have a flask, this is like a hideable version of that.
Yeah.
Look, Cheryl's not here to out me, so I'll just have to do it myself because she'll be mad if I don't. Yes, you can put whiskey in one of these containers and be totally fine.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Part of my sleep system is also a pillow. A lot of people have really big opinions about pillows. I know if you follow Jess at all, from her two wheels, she does a lot of moto camping and she has a very expensive pillow because she has very specific needs. I don't. I used to just bring a pillowcase and put all my clothes in it and use that as my pillow. But I got this for free and I actually really like it. You know when you're online, they're like, try out this thing for free, and this company actually sent it to me and never made me do anything else about it. And I just gave them a review and it was actually really nice. It's called Outdoor Vitals. It is ultra light, it blows up, you just like blow it up to whatever firmness you like, and you can sit on it, so it can be, if you don't have a chair, you can sit on it on a bench or on the ground or whatever to insulate yourself, because that's essentially why you need, it's not even just for comfort, but that's why you need the blow up pad, is to insulate yourself from the ground. So if you're needing to sit around a fire with no chair, this would work too. But I love this as a pillow, and I can make it just squishy enough. I have no idea how much they really cost because I got this one for free, but
Really?
I do love this one, and it packs really small. So that's another reason that I like it. And I will be able to get that back in while I'm talking. I apparently left it hanging up because any of my like things that get wet or have any kind of insulation properties from being fluffy, I don't leave in the packages once I get home. So like my sleeping bag and my camp towel get immediately hung up regardless of whether they were wet. And then my tent hangs in my garage until it gets dry, and then I pack that back up. But I leave my sleeping bag on a hanger in the closet inside my house, even if it never got wet. That keeps it cleaner, and you should shake it out. But the baffling in it, the like quilting, is what keeps you warm. So if it stays compressed for too long, it'll lose the ability to expand back out and trap heat and keep you warm. So the rating on your sleeping bag is based off of that fluffy, whether it's down or down alternative or whatever it is. It can be diminished if it stays too compressed. So I have like a bag that compresses it really small to go in my luggage, and then I hang it up other times. So my camp towel is just a microfiber towel that I left hanging in my garage, but it folds down pretty small. I do feel like I'm gonna get a bigger one because it only doesn't cover the bits and bobs. It does dry things, but it doesn't cover anything. So, but this company, this is called Bacal. They have washcloths all the way up to like big beach towels. So they have bigger ones, and they're not. I don't know if the bigger ones are not super expensive, but they do pack down really small. So this is about 3/4 of the size of a regular bath towel that you have at your house, but folds down into this, so that's pretty small. Any questions on sleep systems? Tents. So she knows about it, but Sammy back there is going to be going camping with me because I bought a big old tent.
Nuh-uh.
She barely knows about it. But
I
so
said sight.
this is a two-person.
Yeah.
Two-person.
Yeah, extra tall because she's
Yes.
tall. So
My question,
Relax.
when it comes to tents and tent poles, you can with a lot of searching, find poles that are smaller.
yeah, if you
But
wanna get a
where
short-
do you suggest putting? That's what I couldn't figure out. Is where in the hell am I going to put the poles? On
So
the bike?
when they're packed away in my garage, I pack them together, but I don't pack them like this
Yeah.
in my luggage. So the only thing I care about when looking for a tent, besides it being big enough and having a rain fly, stuff like that, is the length of the poles. And I base that off of the luggage I intend to use. So I measured these bags, and what I figured out is that while I want them to be, it's a long story, but I used to have different bags that aren't fully waterproof that were longer, that fit these tent poles in it better. But all my stuff got wet every time I went on a trip. So I traded that storage with the duffel where I could have 14-inch poles if I wanted to. So you guys have hard side bags. You might need to measure the interior distance of
I
that.
couldn't.
So, what I was thinking is since he has these tubes on there,
Or you could do something like this, yeah.
and just get, so on the back side of where the, what do you call it, comes out, the luggage rack thing comes out, just get a PVC pipe, make it long enough, put two ends on it, and then the bag will just sit on that, and that'll just stick out.
Okay.
Some people also, so Cheryl, who is the kind of person that has every single thing
Yeah, but-
you would ever need for the
I don't
apocalypse,
recognize it.
Yes.
somehow manages to fit it all, and it looks kind of like this. So what she does is she has a bag, it's much smaller than this, but like the bag that the tent came in, like a regular, I don't know if it's Coleman or not, but like a regular car camping tent that she just sets on her luggage and puts a net over it.
Wait, yeah.
I am not
Looks
someone who does
sketch.
something like that.
But it's never given her problem. It's never budged.
So your comfortability of whether something has to go in a bag, which is my thing, literally the only thing that doesn't go in is a camp cup that I clip on the outside, and then I put a net over everything and kind of wind my travel water bottle to it so I can get to it. But everything else is, I don't plan to get to it while I'm traveling until I get to the hotel, so everything has to be inside, kind of like how this looks. Everything has to be inside of a bag because I do not want it to fall off and kill a family in a van behind me. So you could just strap it across the back of that rack that's on your sissy bar, or you could, you know, whatever. So it doesn't necessarily have to fit into something, but that's just a choice you have to make. You could just sit back there and hold it if you like.
The way I have my bars sometimes, the tent poles, is they come in a bag. Yeah,
So
that bag,
apparently I didn't even put it back in the bag all the way. These are my tent poles.
I literally just like
I
rock strap it
searched for
to my
this.
luggage. So it just sits on top of my duffels, so it's still secure, but it doesn't have to go in anything.
I searched for this tent and researched, and literally you can't like go on Amazon and search I want 12-inch poles. But I literally looked at every tent I could, and the only thing I cared about to start off with was how long were the tent poles. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is a 1.5 person, which really means with gear it's 3/4 of a person. You're, you know, trying to figure out how to get dressed in your tent. It's a whole big thing. But this tent, like my intent is that this is split between 2 bikes, so I'm not as concerned about fitting everything in one set. But I did, it says trail. This is what's weird about when you're looking at camping gear, is that I've had this tent out, actually at the fall Throttle camp out, and to set it up for my first test. And it's supposed to be something you would go hiking with, and it absolutely isn't.
That I was about to say
This is all, this sleeping bag was loose in there, which helps keep the baffles nice, but this is just a travel bag. This is not how I would pack it. But yeah, this is the tent. So if you like set this on across your seat and strap it down, okay, that might not be too bad. But here are the poles, which that makes a big difference. That distance might not seem like it's that much, but that's the difference between being able to put it safely across in my duffel bag and not. So the difference between 1.5 and 2-person tent is a lot. And then also because I'm familiar with her as well, I also made sure that it has like a blow up, mat for the ground. And it's a little bit bigger than I would have for myself, but it's not always about yourself. Which, anyway,
Yeah, I was like, she's
okay, let's talk about cooking, because I have 50 different ways to cook, and I end up cooking for people when we camp. So
she is the chef. Anytime we go group camping, I don't even bring anything. She just brings everything.
except for Vanessa has now usurped me on that.
Oh, yeah, she
and I
has.
will let her. She is allowed. She has. Okay.
Did she have a
This
pan?
is
She's an oven.
Oh, she has an oven.
Yeah, this is a
Open
camp
oven.
system that I
Wow.
bring camping with me. Vanessa has a cast iron.
Yeah.
Oven.
Yeah. Okay.
And
an oven.
And an oven.
And an oven.
It does hold down and uses propane and stuff, but like
That is amazing.
when you're on a bike by yourself and you have room to put I love cooking with cast iron. Like I have cast iron Dutch oven. There's no way I would ever be able to put it on my bike. And she just pulls it out and is just like, hey, I made whatever that stew was.
Biscuits and gravy.
Yeah. But if you're looking to camp cook for yourself or a few people, I actually have 2 different sizes, and depending on who I know I'm going to be camping with, this is why she and I are so. This is my stove that I do cook for groups with. So you can do a lot, not a lot. So this just connects to this, and then you put your pot on top. Easy peasy. Just don't.
It's a little precarious.
It's a little carrot, yeah. Don't let it fall over. So I have a personal size. This is the size I bring when it's just me, which is smaller than my group size.
Girl, you've totally made our group food in those before.
Don't tell them the secrets. But I have a bigger pot, so just the one bigger pot is the same size as the pan and pot that I camp with myself. These are super cheap. I think the whole set was like, including the stove, is like $25 on Amazon. And you don't need something fancy to cook. So the pivot for that is I bring dehydrated for myself. Dehydrated mashed potatoes, cook it in the pan, put sliced hot dogs or grill the hot dog on the stove. Where I don't cook fancy for myself. What? Oh, good.
She thought of something.
Don't worry, I won't throw them at your face. It'll be fine.
Never. I can do that because I've been backpacking a lot. No.
I don't cook fancy for myself. When I cook for other people, you get real food.
She does make.
The food is raw when it goes into my cooking implements. When I cook for myself, it is a prepackaged something that I don't really.
She cooks multiple courses for us.
You're setting a lot of expectations.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll stop.
I like to make sure my friends. So the same. I've talked to Vanessa about this. She has the same mentality, but she is an upper echelon from me doing it. But that's how I'm going to show you that I want you to stay alive and enjoy the camp out, is that I want you to eat. But the other things that I bring as my emergencies is I alternate between 2 things I've never used, but at least these physical packages, but that I've used camping before, is a foldable grill that you can just put between 2 rocks and put your physical fire, but you can't always have an open flame fire at a camp out. So if you can't have that, then having your camp stove might be the only option. Or I have these, you have to look at the picture because it doesn't make a lot of sense, but they're these little fuel cells that jet fuel thing, kinda, yeah. And then you can put your pot on top of that, so you don't have to have, because a lot of people are really scared to balance their pot on the top of this, and it can be kind of scary, but I literally just tell people to leave me alone while I'm cooking. She's shaking her head because if I have to yell at people one more time, your food is coming, go away. And then I haven't used this a lot, but I'm hoping to use it more this season, is a Sea to Summit set, which folds down very flat. And the bottom is like the heat safe, but it's silicone, which is very good for the way that I cook for myself, not so much for groups. But if you're just boiling water and making like a mashed potato situation or a like dehydrated noodles type of thing, this packs down a lot smaller. I just can't really fry things in here, which I do a lot for groups. So however you feed yourself or groups depends on how.
Wait, can you cook in that? Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it still does the same as being on here, but you have to have liquid if the heat goes above onto the silicone.
Shoulder.
Yeah, shoulder. So if you're just, like if I'm sauteing an onion on here, that's probably fine, but like the way that I cook for you guys ends up needing to be more volume, so this wouldn't really work for a group. This is more of a single person thing. And if you're really, you'll notice, if you've ever been to this presentation by me before, you'll notice this is the exact same package I've shown since day one. This is emergency food, okay? I will have ramen at a campsite by choice. This probably expires in 3004. So, but it's good to have for an emergency. You literally boil the water and pour it in, you're done. I don't eat this by choice. Some people carried like a can of SpaghettiOs. If you're looking for other people to like research how they do camping, Ride to Food is a good one. She does more like real cooking, And then Amanda Zitto is as the Magpie Fies, and she does pretty gourmet cooking too, but some like emergency cooking as well.
You had a question, and it was, I missed what the name of the tent was.
Oh, I forgot that I had the chat on. Thank you.
That's it so far.
Miss what the name of the tent. Okay, I don't know who that person is, but I didn't say the name of the tent. This is Fly Top, and I'm pretty sure it's from Japan. I'm not actually sure, but it's from Amazon. And like I said, I have had no problems with the tent. It is absolutely waterproof. I have been in so many camping trips in the rain, like pouring down rain with this tent. It does not leak. The bag that you hold it together with broke when I was unpackaging it. So don't base the quality off of what this looks like right now. But like, this is the tent that I bring the most, and it has been through a windstorm. It has been through literal thunderstorms. It's been through just water, river underneath my tent. You do have to have a rain footprint that you put on the ground. That does a couple of things. It funnels water away from your tent, but also protects the bottom of your tent so it stays waterproof. But the quality of this tent is pretty good. I think I paid, there's a spider, egg sack right there. $80 for this. It's very small for like inside, but if you're just starting to get into it, this is a good tent. So it is called Fly Top. And you'll probably see a lot of similar tents on Amazon, whoever was asking that question, that look very similar. They're probably made by the same company and just named something different. I have a lot of friends who have the Night Cat tent, and it looks very similar and very easy to set up, except it isn't a 2-layer tent. And so it's not, I couldn't imagine it being very waterproof. That means that it has, like a 2-layer tent has a net and then a rain fly that goes over that, and there's a space between those two. That does a lot of things. It keeps condensation off of you, it keeps rain out, it keeps air flowing. And if it's a single layer tent, it's gonna be real humid in there.
That's what I have to add to that. It's a Coleman 2-person tent. It's about $70 on Amazon, and that thing is amazing. Every time I've been camping, it's rained, and there's been 0 issues for me, no leaks. It's got a rain fly and a net thing, and it's a Coleman. I'll send. Yeah, it's a 2-person. It packs down pretty small for being a 2-person tent. So,
is that the one you had at Camp Out with Corey?
Mm-hmm.
That thing's huge. Yes.
But the way it packs down is really.
I mean, so it's really small when it's packed down, but I saw it packed when it's set up, and it's very large.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just not unpacking it inside.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Not packing the stuff inside.
Yeah, you don't want to pack anything inside. Like when you pack it away to go back in your luggage, or what?
Just when you get done camping and you're unpacking.
Yeah. You should be unpacking your gear when you get home and fluffing it out and drying it out before you go inside of your home. Particularly if anyone was at
I love spiders.
and centipedes and
Centipedes, yeah. Spiders, I don't mind.
It's like happened or something to me or what? Not a big deal. You freak out.
no big deal.
It's fine. I really don't mind spiders for some reason. I hate bugs, but spiders are.
Because spiders eat the other bugs that are actually.
Yes, and they're good.
At Babes Ride Out last year, there were these.
Yes, they were.
Look, I'm not afraid of lots of legs or even venomous. I have never seen. It was definitely a larva of something else.
What was
it?
It
was
called?
this long, and they were like, literally
Dogs
attacking-
and fly.
literally
Larvae.
attacking us. They came out of the top of Jess's tent, and she has like a tent that has a garage on it, like it's for moto camping. And so we're like sitting in the little garage, raining because camping, and this giant thing just like
Mars-looking creature.
I mean, I would have preferred a venomous snake at that point. Like, I know you're going that way. It's fine. This thing was like heat sensing or something. It was the only time I've ever been really creeped out by a bug. Okay, so this is a thing that people argue about. Here's a picture of it.
Yeah, it was scary.
It wasn't even so much what they looked like. It was I was literally going after us.
That's like fly once it's done.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was big.
I bring a wooden cutting board because I hate plastic cutting boards, and I use a wooden cutting board at home. And they're hard to find small. I actually got this one closing my house. So it says search to close on it, which was the title company that I so it was a gift that I got, but I've seen these. They're like cocktail, like to cut your lemons and stuff. They're plastic folding ones. I hate the picnic tables in places. Some people just like cut their stuff on it. I'm like, no, I'm feeding other people. I need it to be,
Somewhat sterile.
something approaching sterile as best I can. So I do bring a cutting board, and that's, people like to really cut weight and space, but this bamboo cutting board is worth it to me to keep my surface clean. I don't have it in here because it must be in my cloth good stuff, but I also bring a bandana to put down on the bench or if I have to cook on the ground or something. Any questions about cooking stuff? Some people just get brats and put them on a stick and put them over the fire, or get a sub and bring it in. I've seen a lot of people do that we've camped with, that just go to a sandwich shop and buy a foot-long sub and just keep it cooler.
That's what I do.
That's fine. I mean, I make oatmeal for breakfast for myself. I make real food for everybody else. Real food. The last time I cooked for a group, not at like Throttle camp out, was I think I made breakfast tacos, so eggs and sausage and pepper tacos. I am terrified of not having a way to start a fire. So you're supposed to have 2. I probably have 3 or 4 ways to start a fire. Because like next week it's going to be 30 degrees at night and 60 degrees during the day. It's the at night you have to worry about. And like for Babes Ride Out or even No Coast, it was cold at night. And you're like, oh, during the day it's 75 plus. Okay, well then it's wet and 40 at night. A fire, you need that. So if you are really in a survival situation, I have waterproof matches, a lighter, a flint and steel, and I've actually had to use this because these are new to me, but I used to have other waterproof matches that didn't work and my lighter was messed up. So I've started a fire to cook for people with flint and steel. I've used my don't tell the world, but I've used my camp stove igniter to start a fire too. Just don't actually do that, it's kind of dangerous. Okay, cooking stuff. Good. I bring condiments, seasonings. I broke my last container, but I used a pill container that screws together to put all my seasonings in. It broke, so I have to get a new one of those. But your food doesn't have to be boring unless you're cooking for yourself and you don't care at the moment. And then I always have a Dr. Bronner's soap to wash your stuff. If there's not a lot of good water sources, you don't want to contribute to the not good water sources. So Dr. Bronner's is good. You can bathe in it. You can wash your hair in it. You can wash your dishes. Hello, Charlie. You gonna come camping?
I would love
Just like the miracle. You can do like anything with it.
But yeah, you could do, I mean, it literally is 18 in one. And I don't prefer the baby version, but that's the kind I could get in this size. But I just buy an unscented one, and I bring toiletries with me, but I've also had an entire bag of toiletries explode and have to use my camp soap to head to toe shower too. So, bug spray. This I actually don't recommend. I've used it the last couple of times I've gone camping and defaulted to my backup, which I also always bring. I try to not use DEET at first, and then I always use DEET. So I bring both. It's like, oh, it smells good. I'd like to survive the night.
So like that's the one thing that like I can't be an environmentalist here. I hate DEET. Like
my environmental education really tries to get me. Yeah. I'm like, look, 9 out of the 10 things I do is as organic as I possibly can. I'm using the DEET. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
It's fine. Sometimes people will treat their tents with permethrin. You can't put it on your skin, but you can put it on everything that's on the external part of you. But you need to treat that like before you go on a trip. Trying to treat yourself or your equipment while you're out isn't a great suggestion. Okay, enough of cooking stuff. Any questions on that? One of my favorite things is also from Sea to Summit. Was that a question? I'm not doing good at this. Thank you. Might be too small for me. Oh, yeah. So if you're tall, you need to get a tall tent or enough room that you can curl up, I guess. I recommend this. It's not a super cheap piece of equipment, but it's one that I rarely upgrade things if they're not broken. My dry line is one of the things that I upgraded to this because my other one has these clips that take up a lot of space. This I immediately, when I get to camp, hang between 2 trees because it will have rained for the entire day before and I will be wet when I arrive at the campground. So that might sound like I should say, in case things are wet. That's not what I'm going to say. I'm going to say when I arrive and have to take off my wet socks and hang up my wet jacket, it will be the first thing that I hang up. And it just has these little beads that you kind of put your item through the hole and then scrunch it up and then it hangs versus having a clip. So it packs down really small.
What's it called?
It's just a clothesline, but it's from Sea to Summit. Oh, okay. It takes a little while to get it in there, but really this is so small. My other one's like this big. And I haven't been at a group camp where people haven't used my dry line. So it's just good to have.
Mostly we use it to hang up the Litas flag.
We do, yeah. The Litas flag is hung up in my garage right now, so I don't have it with me, but it is just a flag that we hang up behind, or just the 2 trees that aren't being used as a hammock stand. So speaking of when you get to camp, it might be dark, which tends to happen to me. So I usually carry like 4 or 5 different light sources because I'm not necessarily afraid of the dark, but I am typically not able to stretch my own judgment quickly into the first night of being on camp out. So I need to be able to see so that you're safe and not tripping over people's shit, yeah. I leave my headlamp in the.
I bring twinkly lights. And one of those, yeah.
I bring a couple because they're not very big and people forget them, and I might need to put the path or something. But I leave my headlamp when I'm traveling. It's in my fanny pack that I ride with, so that I always have. It's the first thing I need if it's dark, or if I'm at the hotel and I have to unload my stuff in the dark. I have my headlamp on my person, whether it's in your jacket or whatever, so I'm not having to rifle through wherever it is. I have the thing I need to rifle through in dark. That makes sense. That's just a personal, experiential thing. And I usually carry 2 of these as well, in case one doesn't work. Meg uses twinkle lights. I see a lot of people use string lights. I actually keep seeing this ad. I think I'm going to end up buying them. That like rolls up.
We have 2.
Do you like them?
We don't really use them. They are nice because even when it's rolled up, they're light.
The light itself is still usable, yeah.
And there's a dim and a bright.
Yeah.
So, and the bright does hurt my eyes, but I haven't rolled them out.
I would test out what the like life of that would be, because I'm assuming you need to plug them into an external source.
Yeah.
So I just checked that out, because my issue that I've run into with my twinkly lights, they're just from REI. They just suck up all the juice from my little puck in like 3 hours. That's it. So.
Well, I got a battery charger jump thing that's like about yay big. So hopefully that stays enough charge for all of our.
So like I said, I had 4 or 5 of light sources. This one is solar, and it like expands, and then also has a USB, so you can charge your phone off of it. And it's a pretty good light, like outside, but also in your tent. Like it illuminates my entire tent. But I like that it's solar. I can leave it like it's just like hang on the outside of my tent during the day, and then it's charging all day, and then I can use it at night. I don't have any of my power banks with me, but I usually bring a couple of those too, just to charge my phone and stuff. And 2 of those are solar as well. I think that if you're traveling with a group, the hardest thing of the hotel situation is there being enough outlets to charge all your stuff when you're sharing a room with 4 people, and you have to 5 people. Look, we're cheap, okay.
It's more fun that way. It's like a sleepover before a sleepover.
Yeah, sleepover before sleepover.
It's great.
So what I do when I get to camp, or what our groups tend to do, is unload everything, set up camp, and then go to the grocery store. I usually take the insulation from inside like a HelloFresh delivery, looks like a space bag thing, and put that inside my saddlebag, and then buy a bag of ice. But I don't put the ice in that. This is one of my favorite things I have ever bought. And I know that sounds really weird, but I put the ice in this bag. It's called an Ice Lock watertight ice bag. Put the ice, I have 2 of them. So I put the ice in this bag, and then it closes it and becomes waterproof. Then as the ice melts, it becomes drinkable water that you pour out of the bag, and it's not touching all your gross things. And then it also keeps the stuff cold. So you're not, it's a double duty thing, and the water doesn't go to waste. If you go and buy a styrofoam cooler and put the ice in here, it does the same thing. I just use my saddlebags for that. They're from Amazon. They come in a 2-pack. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I think it was like $14 or something like that. So I know that probably seems super weird, but drinking water, then you're not getting like a gallon of drinking water and having to carry that and ice on your bike to get back to camp. So
It's cold.
alright.
Just trying to get home.
I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that's like the basis.
Clothes.
I wear the same clothes all weekend, bring socks and underwear.
Bring extra socks, bring extra underwear, and bring a hoodie. Highly recommend bringing a hoodie, because layering is your friend when you're camping. Because you're going to get hot during the day and really cold at night, and you can just bundle up before you go to bed, and you're not taking up space.
That's a matter of opinion, because I sleep with nothing, and I'm not.
You're crazy.
No, that is the way it works. That is what you were taught.
It also keeps your sleeping bag cleaner. So depending on how you feel about life.
Listen, I get cold. I'm cold now. So yeah.
Let's put it this way.
Have
Go
you
ahead.
heard the theory of why you sleep naked or minimally clothed? So if you sleep in a sleeping bag, now if you use blankets, it's a different story. If you sleep in a sleeping bag, if you're bare,
Mhm.
your body will heat up all the air around you.
Mhm.
If you have clothes on, you're only heating up the space between you and your clothes. So every time you move, you're moving into a cold space.
It's the cold side of the pillow theory.
Yeah.
It's not really a theory. It's
Right,
a
but like
Science.
how do you like survive the first bit where your body's like the first half hour you're miserable?
Okay, so it's not a half hour, but I also
It takes me a
sometimes-
half hour, girl.
So I have a couple of ways, depending on how much what gear I've brought with me.
Yeah.
A couple of ways to handle that. One of them is to boil water and put it in my thermos,
And then
put it in
Like
before
hot
I get
water.
warm it up. Or one of those rubber old-fashioned heating bags,
Hot water bottle.
hot water. Thank you. Boil water, put it in there. That's in there 10 minutes before I get in, and that way it's literally preheated. Then you just
Do you do that on their camp stove?
yeah. So there, I mean, if
Try
it's
that.
that cold and you have to preheat your bed,
I'm not going.
there are ways to do it. Well, here's the thing. So the
I'm
last,
not going.
I've been to the Pro 3 times. 2 of the years have been pleasant, totally normal. And then one night of one of them went down to 40 degrees unexpectedly. But when you're in the mountains, that fluctuates a lot. So it's like it's 90 degrees during the day at noon, but at 7 when you're getting up, it's also still only 70. At night, it was 40 for like an hour, and you're like, I am freezing. I got up, boiled water, put it in my to keep myself warm.
That was
And then
2022.
The first year you went, yeah. And I had to also boil water for someone who just didn't bring a mattress to insulate themselves from the ground. So it's good to. They happen to be giving out metal water bottles from Harley that year, and so I just boiled water for her and put it in her sleeping bag so she wouldn't freeze. So it sometimes gets that cold.
Yes.
Unexpectedly. So
And the other camping thing that I have learned, because I would do winter backpacking. This is where I learned all this stuff. Do not share a sleeping bag with someone. You will not be warmer. Because what happens is you guys just swap heat all night, so both of you are just miserable all night long.
yeah, it seems super romantic to share a sleeping bag with someone or huddle together for warmth, and that's just not supported. At least in modern equipment. Like maybe before when it was just blankets that would work because you're literally sharing some heat, but like a sleeping bag keeps your immediate area warm. And so it needs to be close to you. If there's a space between you, that air is going to release all that heat. If you know it's going to be 90 degrees during the day and you're like, I need to leave my leg out type of camping, okay, yeah, you might be able to share your actual sleeping bag, but you're not going to be using that sleeping bag. That's going to become a blanket or nothing. So if there's any chance that it's cold, you should be in your own cocoon. Camp might be wet, but your travels might also be wet. And I always just bring rain gear, whether you think you need it or not, because if you don't bring it, you're gonna need it. I'm still trying to figure. This is my white whale. Okay, rain gear that doesn't suck. Okay, I happen to give Meg
I love you for that.
my best rain gear that apparently works.
Wonderfully, might I add. I was the only one with dry shoes by the end of it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But my tips on this is that you need to have something that has a heat shield on the inside of your leg, because my 3 sets prior to this, I burnt all of them. This has a heat shield and I still burnt it. So this is one of those things, it's like, don't go cheap. This set from Z1R that I have was like $60, and I only pay cost. That was $60 cost, I think, and it probably sells for $100. I might as well just wrap myself in saran wrap and be just that warm. I also wear it to stay warm. If it's cold, you can put on a layer and be warm as well. So,
My frog dogs work just fine.
really? Oh,
My frog dogs work just fine.
I know that there are different levels of frog togs, so which ones do you have that actually work?
The cheap ones. They work because they've only been used once. Don't.
Your Ashley's good.
I don't even know which set of mine I gave you, so.
I'll send a picture in the group.
I don't know.
I understand like the blind vortex with it, like.
Interesting.
For the pants,
Right.
Like jacket.
I know there's one-piece sets. If anyone has a one-piece set, those tend to work really well. Beth has a Harley-Davidson suit from like 20 years ago. And she's one of the only other people in our group that has arrived somewhere dry where the rest of us look like me.
Did she burn the sides? I thought she did.
Maybe. I don't remember. I just know that she's dry. She arrived dry.
Taking it yes.
That's pretty much all of my stuff. I get asked a lot why do I have so many different things, but it's because it depends on who I'm with, how far I'm going, what the weather is going to be. I have 3 different sleeping bags. They're all different levels of insulation. How long I'm going to be gone. Am I cooking or not cooking? I personally don't split gear with people that I'm riding with, usually, simply because I worry too much for that, and if I get separated or if their stuff isn't good enough. So, use your discretion on that. It sounds weird, but I'm adding a mallet to my kit this year because the ground has been way too hard. All of my tent stakes are bent from trying to step on them, so this is not the best mallet, but I got it for free. That's fine. So we'll see if that helps. Oh, and I'm adding bananagrams because of Gmail. I carry cards.
That's funny.
And in bananagrams now. This is a game, a group game, so if you come to game night tomorrow night,
Scrabble.
it's like Scrabble, but not as intense, and it goes a little bit faster. And it's just fun. Sometimes you don't need to have something to do, but like it's nice when you're sitting around while someone's making breakfast to do something.
We keep you company and talk to you.
So they can go play cards while they're letting me cook.
Stop it.
I also bring an entire container of zip ties. I've zip tied my turn signal onto my bike. I've zip tied someone else's brake caliper container closed. I've zip tied my bag closed when the zipper broke. I mean, zip ties. And a pocket knife. I just always happen to have a pocket knife on me anyway, but you should have a cutting implement that isn't the one you use for food. I just always have one on my person, so I always forget it. But I have probably 3 or 4 different that I might bring with me, but I end up just bringing the same one every time. Okay. Any recommendations or suggestions for spare fuel carrying besides butt? Okay, so I don't do that other than my cooking fuel. So I'm assuming you don't mean cooking fuel, you mean fuel for your bike. There are some cooking stoves that you can get that use gasoline that you can like siphon out, so that would be a dual purpose, but I don't tend to do the kind of motorcycling where you would run out of gas.
We've come close before.
We have. Not us, but people in our group.
Yes.
In a group ride, by we I mean the Litas that ride together, tend to do mileage based off of the smallest gas tank in the group, which usually is around 100 miles. So it's not really a problem. And we don't do a lot of backcountry where you wouldn't find a gas station. There is a section, though, if you go to Bro through the Allegheny National Forest, which is close to where the No Coast campout is, where there's a 200-mile stretch with no gas stations. I've returned that way, but I have a 4.5-gallon tank. And I needed to get gas before that section and then needed it afterward. So if you plan your gas stops, you probably don't need it, but I know plenty of companies carry
Can make little
canisters.
containers.
I have a weird phobia of opaque containers with liquids in them. So I would worry that I would think, oh, this is like my water bottle. So make sure you label it, make sure it's red or whatever people do with fuel. I don't want to think of what?
Obviously not.
So do that with what you know.
That's a really strong podcast.
I do, if you ever notice, people have pointed out to me, I do smell my container before I start to drink it because I have a huge fear of that. or for other reasons, if it ends up being not my water bottle and I wasn't expecting whiskey, and I was expecting vodka or something like that. So,
It's expecting vodka instead of
but you can get a red fuel canister. How you attach it to your bike would be interesting because these bags, these are from Nelson Rig, and inside, I don't know which side it's on, but there's actually like a sleeve.
You can set time to the outside.
A sleeve that you can actually put it in here and it's like actually secure. Because that's what I would worry about is, Amanda Zito actually has a video of this having happened in her saddlebags where her fuel canister was too close to her exhaust and exploded out the back of her saddlebag. So like, fuel sources need to be managed.
Higher up.
Yeah, they need to be higher up in her bag. But so if you're putting fuel on your bike, it needs to be up here, not on the other side of the exhaust of this bike. But make sure you're not cooking your fuel source and accidentally make a bomb. So I hope that answers whoever's question that was. There's a heart over this. So I can't read what that word is, but bottles, bladders. Some people carry water with them in a bladder. Like I know, I think it's Caesar Summit that makes like a, kind of like that. It's bigger than that, and you don't put it on your person. But she like goes to potable water, fills it up, and brings it to her campsite. I don't tend to do that kind of camping. I like a flush toilet and a water I know that I can drink. However, I do bring a couple of emergency things with me. Anyway, and that's a liner for my sleeping bag, or just in case I get really cold on the side of the road, and a Sawyer squeeze bottle. This is all the way down to microplastics. It's supposed to be good for like viruses and stuff, but if I'm that desperate for water, I've done something really, really wrong. But if you carry iodine tablets, or I would just boil my water at that point if I was getting to that. But like, I've been to campouts where the water is just disgusting, and I want to just filter it for taste purposes. And I like well water, but sometimes you get water that's like, this is sulfur. Like, it's just gross. And you have to stay hydrated. So I've never actually had to use this one, but I've gone through a couple of filter type systems, and I just carry that rather than going to get water and bringing it back to camp. I think that is the whole question. Any other questions from this group?
Do you know much about like soft luggage, like mounting that where you don't have like actual? Like,
Yeah, so these bags, I have a rail system on my lowrider that these to keep them out of my wheel well, but they come with these. They're not super rigid, but they do make the bag a little bit more rigid on its own to keep it away, but you really need to have something mounted on your bike that keeps it out of your wheel well. That's the only thing I would worry about. If you have just throwovers, that's fine. It's just keeping it out of the wheel well. So if you have structure, like a fender that does that, then you don't need rails. So you don't need saddlebags and a rail system that go together. It's just to keep it out of the wheel well. So like these rails that are on this bike aren't meant for these bags.
right.
So they're just, like I said, to keep them away from the back wheel. So I'd have to look at your attachment points on your bike. I'm looking at people who do just use throwovers and just strap it around the back seat, the plane seat. But like for example, the super meteor that is right there, I would need there to be rails on that bike because anything you throw over is going to touch the wheel. However, if you have even that little backrest, you could put a bag on there that doesn't throw over. So it's a bunch of combinations of things.
Yeah.
So throwovers I would need a rail on them. If you just have a bag on your rear fender and it's small enough, you might not need a system. I have done an overnight trip with someone who had a dirt bike, a street legal dirt bike with no real attachment, but we rigged it and it worked. She didn't have a lot of stuff with her, but here's a tent, sleeping bag, she didn't have a cooking system, but like there's a 2-night overnight with enough stuff to have someone else cook, but everything else she had. And you just have to have small stuff. So sometimes I use a tank bag because I bring like filming equipment and stuff, but like magnetic bag, a tail bag, and a backpack could get you on an overnight or 2 overnights. Because that's the thing is like the majority of your gear is going to not be clothes.
Right.
So you're going to use it. There's no like, it's kind of, you're going to be at 75% capacity regardless of how long the trip is. And then socks, underwear, and a couple of shirts. That's the only thing that changes depending on how long it is.
Right.
Because I never travel with food. I wait till I get there to buy food. So that's not in my bag. I have snacks and stuff. So you can do it without pannier rails. I don't want that to like deter anyone.
Yeah.
I do know that some luggage systems where the bags are rigid, more rigid at least, also don't need it. So it depends on what you want to invest in.
I'll send a couple of links in the thing for the throwovers that I use because I don't have rails on my motorcycle and they stay fine. They stay away. And I got a luggage rack in the back as well. That's like detachable and shit stuff.
I am thinking that it's about time to turn the live part off. So if you have any questions that are more personal in nature. Oh, I do get this question a lot. Yes, I use a Shiwi. So if you...
I struggle with those. I peed myself trying to use one of those.
Oh, I just squat, honey.
I know. I'm like, I would rather
Thank
just
you.
squat.
No,
Like, I gave up using the
not
shoe.
putting my butt that close to the ground. Sorry.
Why?
Reasons.
Flying animals.
I mean,
Such as?
That thing.
Scary thing.
That scary
That's
thing.
a pretty, that's a
Right?
pretty convincing reason.
Listen, I've been.
So yes, I mean, in my experience, the model of Shiwi matters to be compatible to your Shiwi. So you might have to like try some. But I actually, the first bro that I went on, I bought like a bunch online, like cheap ones, and
Try them out.
passed them out to try. Everyone found their type. So I mean, you can. There are rigid ones; those work a lot better, but they're harder to pack. But I recommend them because I do not want to have my whole ass out, my whole butt out. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, we're gonna stop the live stream so that those questions can be. Oh, I do also carry an emergency roll of toilet paper. I have my tools with me, like some more safety stuff, a first aid kit, a very inadequate first aid kit because normally with Cheryl, who has a trauma ward in her pannier. So, yeah. Okay. Any more group questions? 'Cause I don't actually know what button to push, so.